Evening, everybody. History in the making here in Dubai tonight. History taking place, first of all, with a world title up for grabs later on, and history in the offing for Carl Frampton, looking to become a three-weight world champion. JAMEL Herring defending his title, that WBO super featherweight crown up for grabs later on as our top of the bill. Plenty coming up before then as well. What might be a world title eliminator for Donny Nietes, effectively. He's in action. First up, Tursunbay Kulakmet's going to get things underway against Heber Rondon. Rondon unbeaten in 20. Kulakmet has looked pretty good so far, unbeaten in 2. Talented amateur. We featured him on our broadcast before, and he's going to get things underway. And he is, of course, now in recent months a gym mate and new friend to Carl Frampton. So there's our tale of the tape. 7 years younger Kulakmet. He's aggressive, he's talented, and we're really looking forward to him kick-starting this historic night of boxing here in Dubai.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's historic legacy event. Live from Caesars Blue Waters, Dubai, live from the Rotunda down here at Caesars Blue Waters, Dubai, as we bring you what is, well, simply the biggest boxing event the region has ever seen. As I mentioned, we are live across the globe. It's all brought to us by, of course, the vision of Ahmed A. Siddiqui for D4G Promotions. This one, the night in total, is sponsored by Everlast, Sports Direct, and Kinetic. And as I mentioned, we've got viewers all over the globe. Broadcast on ESPN Plus in the United States of America, on Channel 5 across the United Kingdom and Ireland, and on IFL TV for the rest of the world. Thanks also to our local broadcast partners as well for all of their efforts in helping to take the game of boxing to a much wider audience right here, live from Dubai. It is now my pleasure to introduce the opening bout of the evening, and we start with a big one as well. It is time for the WBC International Super Welterweight title. And please welcome to the ring the first contender of the evening, all the way from Venezuela, the challenger, Heber Rondon.
Well, he has the potential to be a bit of a surprise package, a mystery man in many regards, Heber Rondon, who didn't take up boxing until he was into his 30s. He's been cramming an awful lot of experience into a short space of time. 9 fights in 2018, another 9 in 2019 as well. Obviously, the COVID global pandemic has curtailed that growth spurt in terms of his experience. He had a couple of fights, though, still, despite that, last year, which takes him to 20-0. By and large, he's been taking on debutants, inexperienced rivals, and those with losing records. He is very much out of the frying pan into the fire tonight against a talented amateur now making his way in the game. What to expect from Rondon, we're about to find out.
And now time to welcome into the ring for the first time this evening, the champion, all the way from Kazakhstan, Tursunbay Kulakmet.
Well, while we don't know that much about Rondon, we do about Tursunbay Kulakmet. He was a World Championship bronze medalist as an amateur a couple of years ago in the elite game, and now as a pro he has raced to 2-0. He's got an attractive style, he's got an aggressive come forward streak. I think a little bit of fire in his belly, and I think attitude in his game to Kulakmet. We've already seen him a couple of times from ringside, and looking forward to seeing him again and how much he's learned from being around Carl Frampton in that gym.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Ahmed A. Siddiqui for D4G Promotions proudly presents 10 rounds of boxing for this, the WBC International Super Welterweight title, live from Dubai. Your three judges ringside are from the United Arab Emirates, Waleed Shahabi, Mike Hale from the United Kingdom, and also ringside, Gary Katanowski from the United Kingdom, also from the United Kingdom. Your timekeeper at the bell is Reese Calden, your referee here in the ring when the action begins all the way from France is Ali Oubail. A warm welcome then to our officials now to introduce the boxers officially to you. First, fighting out of the red corner with an unbeaten record of 20 wins, no defeats, and 13 of those wins coming by way of knockout. Weighing in at the official weigh-in at 153.6 pounds from Los Teques, Venezuela, Heber Rondon. His opponent fighting out of the blue corner for you this evening with an unbeaten record of 2 wins, no defeats, with one of those coming by knockout. Weighing in at 153.6 pounds, the reigning, the defending WBC International Super Welterweight Champion from Kizilordar in Kazakhstan, Tursunbay Kulukmet. We'll now call on the referee to give his initial and final instructions to the boxers. Final words from the referee. Final thoughts ahead of the big fight. We are seconds out for the first fight of the night.
Looking forward to this one, kick-starting an evening of World Championship action. And alongside me, Barry Jones, a man who once held the very belt that Herring now holds, and Frampton is trying to create his history by grabbing off him later on tonight. Barry, you and I have seen Kulukmet a couple of times. We've liked what we've seen so far. He's got a little bit of devil about him too.
He has. He's been hugely impressive. He really has. Just the maturity in his work. He looks like a seasoned pro already in his debut, but certainly in his second fight against a real tough competitor in McGowan, he just looked so composed. Really did. He
did. He was too big, too good for McGowan, who did well, having been hurt in the 7th round in that fight last time up. That was back in November. Fight you may have seen on one of our broadcasts. He did show perhaps just elements of inexperience that night, Barry. He looked like he might get McGowan out of there, I think in the middle sort of second third of the fight, and then maybe McGowan's courage was the deciding factor in that. Just little elements I thought of inexperience might have let him down from really making a statement. But I tell you what, he's well on his way to doing that here. Right hook, was it?
He did that same move. He did the same move about 15 seconds ago. Feinted with the jab, jumped in with the right hook, lead right hook, dropped him.
Tell you what, this guy very late in getting back up, Rondon, and he's looking a bit. Oh my goodness me! Well, he looked unsteady, but he chose attack as a form of defense, and in the end, it left him defenseless. And that's a spectacular knockout and a tremendous start to the evening.
And it always looks a lot worse when you're throwing, when you get hit when you're throwing as well, because you're turning your body into the shot. But again, just the composure there, Kulukmet. He stays inside the body frame when he throws his shots, so he has to turn from the waist when he throws his hooks. Where you see Rondon throwing those big wide hooks with a big gap in between there for Kulukmet just to stay composed, nice and neat, and just see the gap. Listen, we don't know how good Rondon was. He comes in with a big punching record, but for what level we don't quite know that. But what we know of Kulukmet is in 3 fights, he looks really impressive, composed in his work. Can outbox real tough guys like McGowan, and McGowan will want to say in this, and beats him up for 10 rounds. Great composure, and a lovely shot to finish it. Really lovely punch.
Yeah, he's shown so far in his career he's got a little bit about him, that little sort of mental attitude and approach to go along with the technique. That was the first right hand which he just missed with.
Well, you see it there, and again, then that's the one that puts him down. He just little feint. It's almost it's so subtle you almost don't see it. It's a little move of the shoulder to feint that jab, and then comes in there with that right hook. And then when Rondon, to his credit, went out and thought he'll mix fire with fire, but being wide with those elbows wide and throwing wide hooks, someone like Kalukmat who always keeps his shape, just steps inside, sees the opening, throws that lovely right hook, and it was all over.
Well, he was slow getting to his feet after the first right hook landed, and I must admit I thought he was going to be counted out. The referee let him get back to his feet and then commence, and then he chose to fight head on, meet fire with fire, and those were the wrong tactics for a clinical technician like Kulukmat.
But also, he goes in with, he's knocked a load of people out. 13 was it, maybe out of 20 wins. So he fancies that if he can hit you, he can hurt you. But when you're tall and long, you've got to keep your distance. And trying to throw shorter hooks with a guy who's a bit shorter than you and already keeps his shape really well. That's always a dangerous move to make. But he gambled and it didn't come off. But Kulukmat, where'd you go with him now? Because you've stepped him up. And he's had 3 fights now, and it's just looking at the guy's records, however good they are. He boxed everyone with a winning record, so he'd be looking for another one within 10 fights. He'd be looking for some sort of major honour, you would feel, if he keeps going the way he's going.
Well, this international title of sorts with the WBC, of course, garners you some ranking points, pops him sort of top 20, top 15 anyway. You'd like to think he needs more experience before you're talking about the. Jamal Charles at the top of the tree, and Tim Zhu, who had made a statement performance just the other day down under 2. You'd like to think, even with his amateur experience, he wants more seasoning before he gets there.
I don't think they do. I think they want to rush him there. I think it is, but as you said, there's a note of caution. It's a really difficult weight. It really is.
So the first fight of the night has come to a conclusion after 1 minute and 40 seconds of the first round. A win by knockout, win by KO, and still the reigning and defending WBC International Super Welterweight Champion from Kazakhstan, Tursunboy Kulukmat.
Kulukmat it is, and he races on to 3-0. Mentioned that amateur experience with a World Championship medal out in Russia in 2019. A national title as well. If you get one of those in Kazakhstan, you can box, you can fight, no doubt about it. There's lots to like about this guy, Barry. I don't think tonight's performance or opponent was necessarily going to tell us any more about that or him in that regard. However, we've got another taster of what he's capable of.
But we don't know. That's the secret of the club. We don't know. He's gone out there and he stamped his authority straight away, and Rondon might have been a real threat, or he might have been not very good. The fact that we wasn't given a chance to see, because Kulukmat went straight out there,
right,
took the initiative.
With the champ, if
and
we can.
And what we didn't get a chance to see how the relationship with Nigel Travis and Jamie Moore in that corner was going. I think we're going to get translation from Acker. Let's listen in on this.
As well. His thoughts after that first round victory.
Alhamdulillah, өте қуаныштымын. Енді осы жекпе-жекке арнайы Англияға әлемдегі ең мықты тренер деп айтсам болады. Джейми Мур мен Найджел тренерге барып дайындалдық. Шүкір, алхамдулилля, бүгін результатын көрдіңіздер. Және де бұл жақтылармен бірге мен мықты әлем чемпионы Карл Франктон көп кісілермен дайындалдым. Алхамдулилля, Аллаға шүкір. Осы MTK Global, MTK Kazakhstan, Асқар ағама рахмет, Ахмат ағама рахмет көп. Алла разы болсын, Аллаға шүкір.
First of all, he wants to say thank for his team, for Jamie, for Nigel, that the preparation was in UK. First of all time he's in live, and he wants to say thank you for MTK Global, for appreciate to Ahmed Siddiqui. He was saying to in Kazakh language, "Aga," it means like uncle or brother. Like he was saying, thank you very much for him. First of all, he's saying, like it was performance which you saw, and he will improve it more and more. You will see him like thanks God. First of all, alhamdulillah.
And in terms, obviously, early doors, and it's just happened, but what next for Tursunbay? What's on the cards for the rest of 2021? You can answer that one.
I think nobody wants to fight now super welterweight against to him. My opinion. I'm a manager for him, and for after this fight, I think it will be difficult to find some opponent to fight it. Hope Allah is great. You know, we will find our destiny where we started with my brother Ahmed Siddiqui, and inshallah it will be our first of world title shots, I think, and. Let's thank you very much. I think.
Well, thank you for certainly lighting up proceedings. First round victory for that man, still the champion as well. Tursunbay, thank you very much indeed to you and all the team. Safe journey back to Manchester. That concludes the first of our fights on the card down here in Dubai. A rather convincing victory first up, but don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more coming your way in just a few moments' time. Quick reminder to all those still in the rotunda, if I could ask you please to make sure that you are wearing your face masks at all time and respect the social distance of those around you. I'll let the winning connections celebrate here in the ring. We'll be back with fight number 2 shortly.
Thanks very much to Tom Urquhart, our MC and manager, as well as translator Asker Salikbayev, there with the words from Kulakmet. I think you could hear, even from Kulakmet himself, praise for both Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis in that corner for the first time as a professional for him. And as much as he's gained all that amateur experience, Barry, to be around Carl Frampton while he's training for a fight like this for a couple of months, that's priceless experience.
No, of course it really is. You know, they say success breeds success. So when you're around quality fighters, you tend to pick things up, even if it's all subconsciously. You just watching it, but it stays in your head, and then you start. And not so much what they do in the ring, but they conduct themselves, their work ethic, all that sort of stuff. They know that drives you on, and we've seen that time and time again all around the world, where gyms have one champion, and they haven't had champions for years. They get one champion, all of a sudden there's a plethora of champions coming from that gym because of that. So yeah, I think it can only help him. Sure, the language barrier, of course, and being away from home is always an issue for people. But if that can be overcome, then he's in a great place to learn.
Very much so, no doubt about it. And that's, I suppose, part of the story, that being in around a winning gym, around a winning fighter. That's very much part of the story for Jamel Herring. Of course, he's now with Brian McIntyre, Bull Mac. He's unbeaten in 6 since he stepped up in weight and joined that gym. It's a gym that includes, of course, Terence Crawford as well. You can't help but learn from some of the best if you're in and around that kind of company. Elsewhere, here's what's coming up. A tail of the tape for Fahad Al-Balushi against Suraj. Only a couple of years between them in terms of age, as you can see, a couple of inches in favour of Suraj. Both of them in and or just under that super featherweight limit. Very early days in both their careers. You can see Al-Balushi 3 wins and 1 loss, with Suraj 2 wins and 1 loss. All of those fights have come against debutants for Suraj, who's fighting away from home, and I think it's fair to say taking a slight step up in class as well. Let's welcome them to the ring once again with Tom.
Legacy event live from the Caesars Blue Waters right here in the heart of Dubai. Fight fans have just been treated to a very impressive first round victory from the first fight. Well, what next? Well, plenty more coming your way, more titles at stake as well. We're broadcasting to the world live from Dubai, where COVID-19 protocol is being adhered to. All of the fighters have been in a COVID-19 bubble, which has allowed us to bring us to this stage here tonight. Equally, you'll notice that the ring is being sanitized after each and every fight for the safety of each and every one of the fighters. Talking of the fighters, let's move on to fight number 2 on the card for you. And ladies and gentlemen, up next we have 4 rounds in the super featherweight division. Please welcome to the ring, First, from India, Suraj.
Well, this is a big moment for Suraj. He's been fighting in New Delhi and having made his debut just in October. He's already had a couple of fights early on in the year as well. All of those have come against debutants. He lost on his debut and then has reversed that with a couple of wins as well. He started off fighting at Super Bantam and he's just been going up a pound or two here or there. He is up in class and up in weight again tonight.
From here in Dubai, please welcome Fahad Al-Balushi.
Well, any boxer fighting out of Dubai right here, right now, is something of a trailblazer for the sport in this particular region. And Fahad Al-Balushi is one of the few, and hopefully they will soon be many as the sport grows. Having international World Championship boxing here this evening can only help. Early on in his career, unbeaten in 4 so far. He had that stoppage win on his debut about a year and a half ago in this very ring. Then he lost out in Kazakhstan on a bill we televised. He's won 2 on the bounce since then.
For D4G Promotions proudly present 4 rounds of boxing in the super featherweight division. This one sponsored by Everlast, Sports Direct and Kinetic, and broadcast on ESPN Plus, on Channel 5 over in the UK, and on IFL TV for the rest of the world. 3 judges ringside for this bout are from the UAE, Waleed Shihabi, Mike Hale from the UK, and Gary Katanowski from the UK. Timekeeper on the bell is Reese Calden. Your referee in the ring for the first time this evening is Shazad Janab. Now to introduce the boxers to you. First, fighting out of the red corner, with a record of 2 wins and 1 defeat, with one of those wins coming by way of knockout. Weighing in at 129.6 pounds, from India, Suraj. His opponent fighting out of the blue corner with a record of 3 wins and 1 defeat, with one of those wins coming by way of knockout. Weighing in at 130 pounds. From right here in Dubai, flying the flag for the United Arab Emirates, it's the kid, Emirati, it's Fahad Al-Balushi. Fighters are ready, referee is ready, let's listen in.
Boys, make sure you obey my commands at all time. Anything above the navel is good. Make sure you watch the rabbit punches and no kidney punches to the back. Touch them up and good luck to the both of you.
Final instructions from the referee, which means we are just seconds away from the second fight of the night, coming your way live from Dubai.
Let's go, box.
First fight then of 2021 for Fahad Al-Balushi. He might just hold the advantages in size. He started off around lightweight his first couple of fights, and then it just dropped a few pounds now down to super feather. Suraj is moving up in weight in contrast, having started as super bantam. So are they meeting in the middle, or is there an advantage one way or another?
Well, it looks like Al-Balushi got the physical presence. I think he's taking the centre of that ring there, and he's working the other solid jab. And Suraj, he's trying to keep that upper body movement, trying to make it hard for Al-Balushi to hit the target. But those movements have because he's leaning back when he moves from side to side. It's hard to fire back.
Couple of good body shots there from Al Balushi. Thought he might have just hurt him with that right hand initially, and then that skirmish he landed a left up close. They're both throwing punches. There was a nice uppercut from Suraj just a minute or so before as well. They both starting positively and both landing and taking.
There's also a nice uppercut from Al Balushi, just caught Suraj on the temple, on the forehead, sorry.
Certainly looks the bigger man, doesn't he, Al Balushi? Just the one stoppage so far. That was on his debut. Nice left hand there from Al Balushi.
Again, nice long right hand there, and Suraj looking at the fire, but he's a little bit too far out for himself. He needs to get that front foot a little bit closer to the target there, Suraj, before he lets that shot go. See it there, see there's no rotation from the hips there from Suraj, so he's sort of slapping with that right hand.
Landed his own shot there, Suraj, as well. They both look hittable, but it's Al Balushi who looks the bigger of the two, and he's landing the more telling punches through the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's not a massive defense, but yeah, he's the one who's stepping in with the shots. I think that's where those punches are a little bit more dynamic.
One thing you just can't underestimate is, I mentioned that he's a bit of a trailblazer as one of the few boxers over here in Dubai right now, but it's a new sport, Barry, and where it is now, where it might be in 10, 15 years' time, you suspect that it might be poles apart. That's the hope, the dream.
Well, they've already had lots more shows. You know, they've had no shows for ever, did they? And all of a sudden now they've had a lot of different promoters as well, to be fair. No promoting over in Dubai, so that will help us grow sport, but it takes a long time. That's good double up the left hook there from Al Baluchi.
Good start for Al Baluchi. Well, an entertaining 3 minutes to kickstart this one. Al Baluchi seemed to get the better of it.
Yeah, he did, because he's the one pushing forward, so he's stepping in behind the shot, so there's more weight and purchase on the punches. He's been clipped a few times as well, but for the most part, he's the one who's kept Suraj on his heels and just not allowing him to any momentum to come forward. But for Suraj there, he's going to have to change that by trying to be the aggressor or take the initiative in some of these attacks. And for Al Baluchi, I think, as he's already shown, the importance for him is to work behind that solid left hand.
Round two then, scheduled for 4 this one. Aggressive start to it from Suraj.
Well, I think that's got to be, after that first round there, I think that's got to be, in only a 4-rounder, Suraj has to be the busier of the two, and has to just try and unsettle Al Baluchi, because he looks nice and composed here now, but if you maybe up the pace, like the good right hand there from Suraj, he's trying to work off it, but there's nothing in those shots, because they're all punches with the arms, and he's not using that weight, not turning from the core, not pushing off the back foot to get any power in those shots.
No, it's kind of effort over art, isn't it, I think, from Suraj. But great credit to him, because certainly in terms of size and physique and technique on what we've seen so far, first minute and a bit, Al Baluchi definitely looks the better fighter. He landed a couple of wicked left hooks to the body in the first minute of this round. We mentioned, Barry, that the sport is in its infancy, and with that comes perhaps the lack of sparring opportunities and furthering yourself. That's why things are just developing.
It does, but the world, not right now with the pandemic, but the world's a smaller place than it ever has been, so to be able to travel is a lot easier. Again, obviously not right now in this climate, but normally, and if things have the normal, it's easier to travel, get sparring and stuff, and people to come over to see you, finances permitting, of course. Not everyone's turning pro with huge backing and people willing to fund that, but yeah, there'll be more fighters to go along. It takes a while to grow the sport.
Right hand landed there by Suraj. Once again, Al Baluchi kind of looked more annoyed that he'd taken it rather than hurt.
Good effort there. The shots didn't really land, but the effort's right. Just the accuracy and maybe the imagination there from Siraj is not quite there, but or the technique, I should say. But he has to try and be busy there. He's looking to block and counter there. Siraj, and just hands up high and take a few shots out of Al-Balushi and fire back. What Al-Balushi does, he takes that step back and it works for him now and again, but then when the guy's rushing you, which Siraj is doing, going back in straight lines is not going to work all the time. So he needs to take a little pivot off to the side.
I think he might have hurt him again with that left hook. And there's another cracker through the guard, under the guard, into the midriff. Some really big shots landing from Al-Balushi. As much as Suraj has enjoyed more success just through sheer effort this round.
That's good there, a little tap to the head before whipping down to the body there from Al-Balushi. And he just looks two sizes bigger, doesn't he? When they're in close there, the physical presence, just to hold his ground.
And a bit of snap in those shots as well from Al-Balushi. Well, great credit to Suraj, because there's just so many factors against him, I think, here tonight, and he really does look up against it, but not for the lack of trying in that round.
No, he came out like a bull out the gate, didn't he, in that second round? He came out throwing flurries of combinations, and maybe not a lot of quality in the work, but the effort was certainly there. But you see there with nice good right hand, but then halfway through the round there, for me, Al-Balushi could, sort of retained his composure, or regained his composure, I should say, and then sort of took over a little bit to the end with some better quality work, especially digging down the left hook to the body. The biggest thing for Al-Balushi is what he does after he throws the shots. I think that's what he has to be aware of. Where he moves, where he puts that front foot, where he moves next to retreat, to come back and attack again.
Into round three. Al-Balushi in the blue and white. Surely in front after the first couple of rounds. Thought a couple of times he might have hurt Suraj, but to be fair to the Indian fighter, he has taken those shots well so far.
Well, he's critical with some left hooks there, but he's just leaning back or moving back with those left hooks. Al-Balushi, even though they're good shots, unless you carry real power, those punches are not really going to have too much of an effect. That's a good right hand there from Siraj, right through the guards, because all the other punches before that were really wild and sort of loose, but that right hand was right on the centre of the guard. It was a good shot.
He's having to work so hard though, isn't he?
Oh, good body shot. That hurt Siraj there. I think that left hook to the body there from Al-Balushi.
And the uppercut that followed it wasn't bad either. Doubled it up, and that left hook, double left hook, forced Suraj to back off once again.
Needs to whip through that right uppercut now, Al-Balushi. Right through the guard, and then whip down with a body shot.
You do fancy if Al-Balushi wanted to. There's another careless, hands down, leaning back. It may well be that Suraj can't hurt him, but he's still allowing him to score with that punch.
Good left hook again there from Al-Balushi. Well, he's taking his time. He's looking to pick his spots, and looking to pick to be very economical with his work. Make sure every punch he throws is the right shot and has the right effect. It's a good little right hook as well there, just into the chest. It's a good shot.
That's his best shot. Again, that was right across the belt line. The left hook to the body's been his best shot so far.
Just needs to move his feet a little bit. I don't mean forwards and backs. I mean when he's in close there, just a little half an inch or an inch to the side. Just gives you a little bit more of an angle for that body shot. You can whip right across the body then with it. Get a little bit more leverage, because you can turn that right shoulder forward.
You do feel with Al-Balushi he's not really in any danger here, and you do feel he could do what he wanted with this. Is that Suraj's toughness and effort is is keeping him in this. And there you can see on the face of Suraj the effort and the toll that it's taking, not so much in terms of physical damage, but just in terms of the energy and effort that he is having to resource just to kind of keep tabs or keep himself out of danger.
And just, you know, there's just mainly some of the accuracy in the work of Al-Balushi. You know, some of them are strayed a little bit low, but most of the time he's picking his spots well, he's delivering the punches correctly. And where Suraj is a little bit wild with his shot, so he's not having the same success. And when you don't have success, mentally it affects you. You know, if you have a little bit of success, even when you're tired, you can find a little bit of a second wind.
Touch of gloves then, signalling the start of the final round. No doubt Al-Balushi's in control. Anything you'd like to see him do more of, Barry, to emphasise the point?
Well, this is a learning fight where he's having all control, so he's still early in his game and he's still young, so he's enjoying himself, and that's fine. But just not to pick up bad habits. And I just think, you know, after he throws a shot, he takes a step back, which is good. Doesn't know his work, but I just like to see a little change in angle now and again. That's all. That's all I'd like to see. But he's boxing well, I think. I know you've got to be careful in these fights where you're dominant and the guy hasn't got no power. It's just picking up habits, bad habits that can easily ingrain themselves into your style.
A couple of sharp shots there, and then you can see Suraj just can't get close. He was just pinned back by those right hands from Al-Balushi.
Good uppercut there from Suraj. And a little right hand. A solid jab there, back there from Al-Balushi, who's just needs to up the pace a little bit now. He's obviously massively in control of the fight, but just like to see him close the show with a little bit of more effort.
There's lots of defiance, isn't there, from Suraj? But he's needing to show that to survive, essentially. Credit to him.
Well, to be fair,
he's not stopped trying, has he?
It was only that last one with a body shot maybe, and maybe there was a hook there that made him sort of take a half step back, but he hasn't looked really hurt.
And it looked like a slip, and thankfully it...
I don't know about that. Technically a knockdown there. He got hit with the glove.
Simple deliver, go. Simple deliver. Go, simple. Go, release, boom, yes.
It's a nice shot.
Hands up, go, come on.
It's a nice uppercut there from Al-Balushi, just a little bit too slow to throw the left hook after it.
Step jab. Don't touch one.
What he's done now, because he's in control here, Al-Balushi, he's forgot to use that left hand, that jab, to set up the attacks. And the reason that jab is so important is because it not just sets the attack, it gives you the judgment of the distance every time to know where you are. You know where you are with your footwork, what sort of length you need to throw the next shot at. It's a lovely body shot though, lovely shot.
Hands up, hands up.
That's Suraj, he comes forward with his elbows, play out a little bit too wide, and
Yes, again.
well-timed left hook there from Al-Balushi.
Hands up.
Real credit to this Suraj character. He has kept throwing punches, kept trying to win all the way through. And what a tough little fella he is, Suraj. Gave it everything, didn't quite have an answer to the technique and the relative power of Al-Balushi throughout.
No, they were levels apart. You could clearly see that, even though their records of this early in their career were relatively close. But the skill levels and ability levels, they were miles apart. But he was brave and plenty of effort in his work there, Suraj, but with no real thought and no real technique. You can see the shots are wild. He lifts his elbows up to throw every shot. It was easy to read. And I think Al-Balushi had a good time in there. He enjoyed himself. You know, I think could have forced a stoppage, I would have felt, or put more pressure if you want to be overcritical, but he barely took any shot of note, and I think he had a good time tonight.
And I think he enjoyed himself, as Barry said, as well. And further experience on what is a relatively steep learning curve in this sport in its infancy over here in Dubai. Big night of boxing coming up. World Championship action coming up as well. Still to come, JAMEL Herring in action against Carl Frampton, chasing history. And I think we can say great Donny Nietes, 4-weight world champion. What a treat that is to have him as the co-feature just a little later on as well. Comeback fight after a significant period of time out of the ring. Really looking forward to seeing Nietes in action. What a career he's had so far, and hoping perhaps for one or two more legs of the adventure yet. And Keyshawn Davis is up next.
So, ladies and gentlemen, after the 4 rounds of boxing in the super featherweight division, the 3 ringside referees have given their scores. And after 4 rounds of boxing, we have a unanimous decision. A unanimous decision. And the victor, fighting out of the blue corner, Fahad Al-Blushi.
Fahad Al-Blushi continues his winning run. It's another 4-round victory by decision. That's 3 of those on the spin. And he moves to 4-1 and continues his fledgling career.
So here's the victor, obviously at the very beginning of your career. So much promise out there, a lot of support as well from your team. Give us your emotions after another impressive victory.
I don't know how to explain it, actually. It just feels amazing to be here. Fight in front of my home people, home crowd, representing my country especially. You know, it's an honor to be able to be in a position like this. I have to thank my promoter over there, Ahmed Sadiqi. Thank you so much. D4G, Jose Mona, Round 10 Boxing, especially my mother sitting over there. She's been my rock, supporting me since I was a baby. And thank you for everyone coming around. I really appreciate it. Showing some love for the boxing scene in the Middle East. And I hope we continue to grow. One of many amazing events to happen, for sure.
Very significant year for the UAE, 50th anniversary of the UAE. You're wearing the colours of the flag with pride into the ring as well. Do you hope that more people will take inspiration from you and take up this extraordinary sport?
I really wish, you know, that's one thing I wanted to do is but inspire younger generations to be able to do. If you have a dream, chase it. You know, whatever it is, boxing, basketball, anything you have in mind, you know, but I really hope the sport continues to grow for the young generation over here and everywhere else.
And obviously, early days, but what's next for you, Fahad? What is on the cards, as it were, for 21?
Still early to say, you know. Still early in my career. Just go on with emotion, go on with the flow, see where it takes us. But I'm positive we're going to go upwards and onwards from here.
After that performance, I think you've made a number of fans down here very, very happy indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together one more time for the Kid Emirati, Fahad Al-Blushi. 2 of our 6 fights have been completed. Stay tuned, though, because coming up next, fireworks here in the ring, live from Dubai. Sanitization of the ring will take place. We'll be back in round about 4 minutes for what promises to be an explosive encounter. Join us then.
Stick around, because we have one of the biggest prospective talents in American boxing right now in the shape of Keyshawn Davis, who made a winning debut on the Canelo undercard last time up in February, just a month or so ago, and a talented US amateur looking the business very early on in his career. I think we could see something special tonight. Just the potential for some fireworks as well, given what happened at the weigh-in between Davis and Shelley. I wonder if the Ghanaian may well regret some of the actions there at the weigh-in. We shall see. Looking back on some of the action from our previous fight, Fahad Al-Blushi had things mainly his own way. Spits of defiance from Suraj. He gave it everything, but just wasn't quite up to it in the end against Belushi, who wins again. But really, Keyshawn Davis, potentially an exciting new talent. He looks the part, talks the business, and seems to want to make a name for himself. And he's got the right sort of backing. I think he's in and around the right sort of people. He's done plenty of the right kind of sparring, I think, as well, from his amateur days when he was sparring pros. And he's been in with a whole host of the game's top names. Big pals with Shakur Stevenson as well, who is very much in line for a tilt at the winner of our feature bout later on tonight, whether it's JAMEL Herring, Carl Frampton, or indeed Oscar Valdez, who, like Carl Frampton, is a stablemate from the top rank organisation of Shakur Stevenson. And no doubt Shakur will have a real close eye on how his pal and gym mate Keyshawn Davis gets on tonight.
Request from the organisers, as per COVID-19 protocol and regulations. If we could ask you please to remain in your seats. Obviously face masks are required, and we will ask you to keep your social distance of 2 meters. But please, please remain in your seats at all times, and face masks are essential. So just on behalf of the organisers and of course the authorities here in Dubai, please do remain in your seats at all times, just to ensure that we are adhering to our COVID-19 protocols.
Here we look back on some of the action so far. Kulak Met, I think we'll do well to see a more spectacular knockout tonight than the right hand. Not the first one that put down Rondon, but the second one as Rondon tried to fight back. Just take a look at this. It just goes to show you how you don't have to wind up with a punch. I know it was helped by the fact, Barry, that the Rondon was A, open, B, throwing his own punch, almost moving on to the shot.
Well, it just shows how important, getting the right technique is, because Rondon showed what it's like when you might have power, but when you're wild with it, your punches are loose. They come from a wide angle where Kulakmat, it stays inside his body frame, so he has to turn his shoulders and his hips to throw the shot, which generates that power, gives you that turn and out whipping the punches. Excited to see Keyshawn Davis? Yes. I really am. I've seen him a couple of times as an amateur, but I heard more about how good he is and the potential he had to go all the way. And he looked pretty good in his debut, so we're expecting big things from him. And I think he's going to be matched pretty steep as well as he goes along.
I think the key to his debut was how composed and in control he was about everything. He was in with a guy he was always going to be, but it's about how you look while you're doing that.
Yeah, I think certainly in the early stages of your career, it is about about the habits you pick up, the good habits and the bad habits you negate. But more importantly, how you control the pace, how you control the transition from amateur to professionals. Because even though the quality might be at the lower level, they're physically stronger. They're men, and it can have a different effect on you. And it almost feels like a foreign thing in many ways. So you have to learn how to deal with all those emotions and the expectations of what he turned pro onto were quite steep.
Yeah, everyone chasing his signature, and the only thing that I'm always slightly wary of with any young talent, however good you have been in the amateurs and however good you've looked in the gym, however much potential you seem to have, when you start talking about yourself, not just other people, but yourself, talking about bringing something different to the game, being some potentially special, being the next Floyd Mayweather or whatever it is, when you start putting those expectations on yourself, those are big bars and heavy precedents to set yourself.
I think they are, but when you're meant to be a great fighter, we don't know if Keyshawn Davis is, then you cope with it. It's meant to be, so you invite that sort of pressure.
Here's Carl Frampton, and there you can see his full team. And Michael Lyons on the right, that's his strength and conditioner. I think Tommy Coyle's in there as well. He's been over here. And I think having Tommy Coyle, of course, former Commonwealth lightweight champion, fought Chris Algie, didn't he, over stateside late on in his career as well, Tommy. But I think having a character like that as part of your team can only help the mood, and I think it has been a good mood. There's a pretty relaxed character himself, JAMEL Herring. Lots made of sort of size and weight as being issues, but maybe reach, technique comes into it, tactics. I think most importantly for the pair of them, what stage each of them is at in their careers and what they can bring to the table tonight, not yesterday, not last year. That's the big question.
I think that's right. No, neither one are spring chickens, in age-wise, of course, but I think it is about how fresh they are in their careers. Carl Frampton comes with all that experience and knowledge, and on paper, technically, better in many ways than Herring is. But Herring comes with that confidence of being around a great fighter like Terence Crawford, of course, and in a fantastic gym, and he's the champion. We sort of forget that. So he goes in with that confidence of, I'm the champion. I'm the man to beat. And you just saw Herring go across to Keyshawn Davis's team to say hello to them. He's done sparring in the past with Keyshawn Davis, who sparred just about everybody in terms of a young, big name stateside. And he did that when he was an amateur anyway, as well as now the fact that he's making his way as a young pro. 22, the pair of them. So is Richmond Asheli, who's got those 9 knockouts out of 9 alongside 1 technical decision as well, but at a very, very different level against very different opponents, I think, to Keyshawn Davis. You can see the pair of them, well, in between lightweight and super light, 138.2, a couple of pounds heavier. Keyshawn Davis coming into this one tonight. He's less experienced, as you can see, in professional terms, but all that amateur talent, background, and indeed medal experience to call on, as well as the prospect and the potential that he has. Plenty of people almost frightened by all of that, and the fact that Asheli, well, he was playing up at the weigh-in, I think it's fair to say, Barry, the old finger and hand across the throat gesture to Keyshawn Davis, then started pointing straight at him. Davis was waving away his hand, batting away the pointing finger, and I wonder if any of that is going to spill over into the way this one unfolds. Could be explosive right from the start. Really looking forward to it.
So hope you've enjoyed the evening thus far. Plenty more still to look forward to. Live from Dubai. We're down at the Rotunda at the Caesars on Blue Waters Island, right here in Dubai, for the first of its kind. It is a legacy event. It's a legacy builder in more ways than one as well. And after the official press conference, where there are a few fireworks between these two men, this could be one of the fights of the night. Ladies and gentlemen, time for fight 3 on the card for you tonight. And up next, we have 6 rounds in the lightweight division. Please welcome to the ring first, from Ghana, Richmond Asheli.
Hey, origination. Well, no, dear. Make me tell you something.
It's shiny beats, baby.
Originator. When me come out right now, me find them see me.
Well, now is the time to let his boxing do some of the talking that his actions were attempting to put forth at the weigh-in yesterday. Perhaps bringing up somewhat surprising, if not unnecessary, flavour to this bout. It's certainly unexpected, I think that's for sure. But Asheli has created that environment, and now he's going to have to deal with it. He certainly doesn't look lacking for confidence in any way. Enjoying the moment, milking the ring walk somewhat. Well, the question is, can he back it up? Will the fight last longer than the ring walk? Indeed. He was bold yesterday at the weigh-in, and now he looks confident and full of the business this evening. Can't wait to see if he can back it up, because in truth, so far, he's been fighting at a level which would seem some way below what's going to be required. Now, in truth, he has been knocking out those inferior rivals, fighters with losing records by and large, and the only fighter that he has fought with a winning record, he lost that on disqualification. So perhaps maybe some of the attitude we've seen at the weigh-in and indeed in the ring walk, maybe that spilled into the ring on that occasion. Fascinating to see this one tonight.
Time now to please welcome to the ring, from Norfolk, Virginia, in the United States of America, Keyshawn Davis.
It looked like it. Let me see. Is this right, baby? Hey, you with the C-section and no kids. It's going down? I know how we can get in because I know Jock. It's going down? I know Young Jock. Is it going down? It's going down.
This need to be.
Here we go again.
Bad Boy South.
Get on Field USA.
Block Entertainment. Yeah.
You know, I go by the name Nitty, right?
Well, there's no doubt that Keyshawn Davis was a supremely talented amateur, and at a very young age as well. A couple of years ago at the World Championships in 2019, that burgeoning talent took him to a silver medal. Only Andy Cruz, the terrifically talented Cuban, a bit of a nemesis for Davis in the amateurs, in truth, was his better on that occasion. And the list of names that he beat en route to that final was terrific. An Asian champion, a world champion and Olympic silver medalist in Umeå.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
and
here
indeed a European champion
go.
as well. So very, very talented. Looking to go 2-0 as a pro.
The lightweight division. This one's sponsored by Everlast, Sports Direct and Kinetic. It's been broadcast across the globe to our friends over in the United States on ESPN Plus, Channel 5 in the UK and Ireland, and on IFL TV worldwide. Three judges ringside are Waleed Shahabi from the United Arab Emirates, Mike Hale from the UK, and Gary Katanowski from the UK. Timekeeper on the bell is Reece Calden. Your referee in the ring for this one is Shazad Janab. And now to introduce the boxers officially to you. First, fighting out of the red corner with a record of 10 wins, just one solitary defeat, with 9 of those wins coming by knockout. Weighing in at 136 pounds, from Ghana, Rishman Ashley. His opponent fighting out of the blue corner, an outstanding amateur during his time, who now has a professional record of 1 win and no defeats, with that big win coming by way of knockout. He weighed in at 138.2 pounds. Here's the pride of Norfolk, Virginia, in the United States of America. He is Keyshawn Davis. All set, we'll have a little listen to your referee.
Okay, boys, make sure you give me a good, clean fight. Anything from the navel above is good. Make sure you watch the rabbit punches and no kidney punches at the back. Touch them up and good luck.
It is the third fight of the night. It is coming your way live from Dubai. Sit back and enjoy.
Plenty of fans worldwide, and I say worldwide, not just in America, getting excited about Keyshawn Davis, who looks so controlled. It was a performance of class and authority on his debut back in February on the Canelo Yildirim undercard. Already getting that kind of exposure, already getting the hype, and no doubt that in the amateur game as well as so far in the pros, he has looked like he has some of the stuff. Barry, really excited. Plenty of people getting excited about this young man.
Well, you can see why. And you mentioned earlier the composure he has. You know, look at him now. He runs straight over, took the centre of the ring, put Ashley under pressure straight away without throwing a punch, just with the way he positions his feet, and just the menace, and just the menace in his setup.
Nice left hand to the body. You can see the high guard of Ashali so far. Not a bad idea.
No, but he's got to throw something back, because at the minute he's just allowing Davis just to line him up for anything he wants. and he's just pushing. He's not touching with that jab, and he's not exactly throwing it. He's pushing through the guard with it, just to encourage his kid to throw a shot.
And although it's often said, I think that the feeling has been that Davis was always going to look better in the pro ranks, even than he did in the amateur game against the likes of Andy Cruz, who were perhaps more suited to that particular facet of the game. And you can see little bits of it just clipped there by a right hand. It looks like it might be kind of deflect, cuff and defend and shoot for Asheli tonight, certainly in the early going.
Well, Asheli thought that he'd pulled on with the back of the head, unless he can play the referee. Davis come out with a nice sharp left hook, and then Asheli countered with the right hand, which caught Davis, but had no effect.
And if you get a close-up, look at the eyes of Davis. One of the things that really was noteworthy on his debut, the kind of concentration and the focus, the sharpness of his vision. He really is alert and switched on, lands a couple of shots, including a left hand to the body.
But he just did something, oh, good right hand. He just did something a minute ago. He moved back, then when Asheli went to throw a shot, he sort of moved to the side while he was moving back, just repositioning his feet.
And
what's Asheli doing?
Well, I think he's milking it. He was kind of bundled down. There's no doubt about that. So almost rough handled and rough housed by Davis in that exchange. And this is an interesting test in terms of mentality more than talent and physique, as he lands another right hand, Davis. But all the nonsense at the weigh-in yesterday, just a mental test for him, and perhaps unexpectedly early on in his career. Enjoyed a good round though there for starters.
Again, pushing through with that left-hand jab, just to push Asheli back before he lets go with a good right hand to the body. But constantly, for the whole round, he kept using the footwork there, menacing with that front foot, just kept Asheli on the back rope, on the ropes, his back to the ropes, just so he can't really push off with any leverage in his shots.
Well, that was one of the best shots of the round, wasn't it? That left hand, as Asheli was off balance and leaning onto the ropes, and he sliced that into the midriff. There's Paul Weir, one of Scotland's finest, now based out in Dubai, helping out in the corner with Asheli. And of course Ricky Burns would be in that discussion as well, one of Britain's three weight world champions through history, and that's a small list over many years, trailing back to Bob Fitzsimmons. And of course Carl Frampton looking to become Ireland's first 3-weight world champion later on tonight, top of the bill. Just picked up the pace here, start of the second round. Keyshawn Davis, bit more meat and menace and focus on those shots.
You can see though what Davis learned from the first round, because when he threw that good right hand to the body, he didn't stay there because he got caught the last time. He took a little step out and a little step to the side.
Just bothered him with that clubbing right hand round the guard, despite the high guard. Asheli didn't manage to deflect that one completely.
You got to try and take the initiative here, Asheli, if he can. Asheli.
He's had so much good sparring over the years, even when he was an amateur, sparring with pros, Davis, including time spent with Terence Crawford. Oh, there's a lovely left hook to the body again. And I think he said the most important thing he learned from the Crawford spars is he lands a scything right hand again. He's really chopping down. I think he's starting to go through the gears here, Davis.
Good uppercut there from Davis, a lovely shot. And he's taking a little step out as well, just when Asheli goes to throw back, there's nothing there for him to hit.
He said the thing that he learned most from Bud is the mental side of boxing more than the physical one. Having to think your way around your opponent, having to respond mentally to the problems that they present. And I wonder if the whole experience of yesterday, the weighing room, the weigh-in nonsense from Asheli, that's another thing that a young pro, he's only 22, remember, Davis, another thing to deal with.
Well, it can affect you in many ways, but it looks to me that it's just made Davis more focused. And good body shot there, good lift to the body there from Davis.
All the while though, Barry, trying to maintain the distance.
Yeah, he's just, you know, he's just making sure nothing, he's getting clipped every now and again, of course. And that's going to happen when you're being the aggressor, but for the most part, he's making little adjustments with the feet, making sure nothing's going to hit him when Shelley looks to fire back. But probing all the time, and it's very often starts with that left hand.
You can see how good his judgment of distance is, Davis. Oh, again, he landed with a couple of right hooks to the body. He looks a bit wild, Shelley. He's largely defending. He's looking to counter when he can. He looks somewhat wild when he does that. He's under a lot of pressure, though, here, the African. 2 rounds in. He does look in good shape, Shelley, and he'll need to be, given the kind of pressure that he is under from Keyshawn Davis so far in this one. Looked like he just picked up the tempo. There was a little bit more intensity in the shots in that second round.
Yeah, there was, and I just think, you know, he's trying to get a little bit closer just so he can get a little more purchase on the punches. He's punching right through the target, but again, still having enough, you know, awareness just to take those little skips back, just to make sure not much gets caught. Got caught with a good right hand there, but for the most part, his vision was pretty good. He was seeing the gaps were opening and what was coming back.
And he copped one right hand against Lester Brown, who he dispatched in 2 rounds back in February in Miami on that Canelo Yildirim undercard on his debut. He said although he doesn't want to get hit, it was quite good to get hit, to experience the 8-ounce gloves first time as a pro. Obviously in sparring wouldn't quite be the same. He's had a couple of shots again to understand that experience, but by and large he's controlling the distance, the tempo, and he's landed plenty so far on Shelley.
I was just going to say that's better from Shelley, but he's gone back into the ropes again. But he tried to take the centre of the ring there just to make see what Davis was like under pressure, but couldn't really figure it out. I'm not sure if he has the skill set to do that.
Long right hand to the body from Davis so far has been one of his signature punches.
Lovely little uppercut there from as Shelley came forward there. Just a little short uppercut with the left hand there from Davis.
And so far, he's having to create his own openings.
That's fantastic. The footwork is really good, really good. Just see him there, he takes a step back, shifts around to the right, makes space there for that shot. All the time, Shelley trying to come forward. Not much to hit.
Another body shot goes in. Pressure intensifies again on Shelley.
Having the confidence now, isn't he, just to sit in that pocket there now, Davis. Roll with the shots. He's using those shoulders to block some punches as well. Little turn of the hips. It's nice. Little feint with the jab.
He's got so much experience, although in sort of pro terms, Shelley's obviously had the 11 fights, and this is just the second for Davis. But the good amateurs you can fast track anyway, but add to that all the sparring experience against the pros. His good friend and gym mate Shakur Stevenson, of course. Tank Crawford I mentioned. He's been in with Tank Davis and a spar with Teofimo Lopez last year that apparently went rather well too. So all of that adds up, doesn't it? Ingredients in the mix very early on, and he's having a moan now, Shelley.
Well, to be fair, he's been moaning from round 1 about that pulling down with the head, and he's got a bit of a case, but not enough really to go.
Oh, did he wobble him with that right hand? Just off balance. May have ridden it well.
It's a lovely jab from Davis. Beautiful shot. Really steps in behind it, doesn't he?
And again, scything right hand to the body. Look at the eyes. Bit of focus and intent. Still the pressure on Shelley. Does he have any answer to it?
The hard spell here. It's a lovely left hook.
Again,
right on
the balance.
button.
Yeah, and again the balance, Barry, for Shelley just coming into question. I think it's his look. Oh, there's a left hand that goes into the body as well.
This little 30-second spell here from Davis is ruthless here for the Shelley. Everything was accurate there, wasn't it? Composed and punching through the tag with every shot. That was a lovely little display there from Davis.
Yeah, precise, full of intent, a little bit of ferocity. Everything starting to build together for Davis. A shake of the head from Richmond Asheli, and you can understand why. He has simply no answer at all, and must surely have dawned on him now that that's the case, and the antics yesterday the way in something of a folly.
But that right uppercut's been a lovely shot as well for Davis. You see it there, but just the replay just before, where he's skipping back and still finding the space to land that lovely right uppercut, having the thought process to do it as you're retreating. He's got a bit of a point here, Asheli, there. He is getting pulled down a little bit, but it's not enough really for the referee to really call up about. And just seeing the accuracy here, the good timing from Davis, and this was the spell where he had Asheli on in that corner and punished him for a good 25-30 seconds, but still couldn't get him out of there.
Into round 4. Each round, and that's exactly what you want. Oh, another left hand to the body. Each round has been better than the previous.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, we always talk about that, don't we? How impressive that is when you're just building on your success for each round, going through the gears every time, making the pressure tell on your opponent, and that's what Davis is doing, and still looks very comfortable. And again, we talk about going through the gears without rushing your work, and that's exactly what he's done. Look at that there, it's beautiful. Little shimmy of the shoulders there to make space for that uppercut.
And although I mentioned earlier on that he kind of sets himself very high standards in terms of where he wants to go in the game and what he thinks he's capable of, and I'm always mindful of that kind of talk when you consider the predecessors at the very top of this sport. But he does look the part, and when you hear him interviewed anyway, he seems very, very grounded too to go along with it. So even although he's talking big, and he's been built as big, and he's looking big, and he's dreaming big, I don't think he's the type of character that's going to get too carried away with himself.
I don't think Asheli's a world beater, but no. I do think he can give you a fight. No, if he's allowed, I really do. I think that you can see where he's trying to fire back, but this has just been a fantastic performance from young Davis here.
Well, he's been bullied right from the start, Barry, but it's a technical bullying.
We're just turning the screws. You said every round turning the screws. Just seemed they didn't quite come off there from Davis, but the thought process, just to take that little shift to the side, try and get a different angle there with that lead uppercut. And also not neglecting the fundamentals that we've seen there, just a 1-2 right down the line, direct shots, the things you learn from the first days in the gym, and that can easily be forgotten when you're having a lot of success. You look for the big, more flashy shots, and he's still working behind the jab, looking for the straight 1-2s, and looking just to open Asheli up for the bigger shots. I think he's boxing fantastic, I really do.
Difficult night this for Asheli, no doubt about it. He's tried to spit defiance when he's been allowed, and I think that's the key phrase. When he's been allowed, he's not been allowed to do much, if anything. Nice jab from Asheli.
So given the opportunity, he'll fire back and he'll give you a fight, I think. But for the most part, Davis just always out of reach, always at a different angle, and punishing him every time Asheli makes a mistake.
And actually, for the first time, he's closed the gap a bit, Davis, here, hasn't he? And he's hanging on for dear life now. Asheli looking a little wild, looking a bit more ragged. Left hook gets through towards the end of the round. And maybe just nearing the end now. Good shake of the head from Asheli. That's successive rounds in between rounds that's been the case. I think they're going to call it here. I think that's it. That's it. It was just a sense that he was starting to get a bit ragged, Asheli. I think he's been frustrated, beaten up, bullied right from the start. It's been a clinic from Keyshawn Davis, and now I think, regardless of what was in front of him tonight, I think I agree with Barry. I think Asheli could could have posed problems had he been allowed to, and might have done with lesser fighters, but he was put in his box right from the very start, and bit by bit he was just picked apart, and in the end the ending was forced.
We've just seen the replay there where that's when he hurt the Shelley, and the Shelley, to his credit, tried to fire back, but just before the bell, where there's a real solid right hand that caught the Shelley, and I think that was the punch there. I think his corner must have thought, that's enough. That's enough.
And the result by TKO, and still undefeated in his professional career, fighting out of the blue corner, Keyshawn Davis.
Oh, he was mustard tonight. He was absolute mustard tonight, and you've got a real good glimpse there, several cameos of what this young man is all about, and why people, particularly stateside, but also around the world, might just be getting a little hyped and excited about Keyshawn Davis. Long way to go. He's only 22.
In the COVID bubble with this man,
but
true entertainer in the ring and out the
getting
ring.
him the right experience, getting him the right opponents, that might be the hardest matchmaking throughout the early part of his career.
Well, I got a feeling they're going to have to dig deep in their pocket to get him opponents, because you're going to want paying. He looks everything a star. He really does. No, and you can pick holes in anyone's performance. Of course, he got caught a few times. What is he? 22 years of age and his second professional fight, and he puts pressure on someone like that. Just the composure in his work, the judgment of his distance, every shot he punches through the target with. He's sharp, he's fast, he's thinking on his feet. You can see he's trying to make the adjustments from the body. It's still early days, you never quite know, but he looks a little bit special to me.
Put your hands together for Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn, congratulations. Come and stand here, mate. That big smile has been a feature of the build-up to this fight throughout. Is it fair to say that you've enjoyed your time in Dubai?
Oh, yes, man. Dubai, the fans, the supporters, just the people in general. As soon as I got out here, they was welcoming me in open arms, and this is going to be an experience I'm never going to forget.
You were oozing confidence coming into this fight. You didn't put a foot wrong during that fight. Are you happy with your performance?
Yes, I'm happy. I was hoping he'd go one more round, because I knew that next round I was going to knock him out. But it's okay. I made a man quit in the corner, and that's something I can say moving on forward.
It's been, as I mentioned, it's been a pleasure hanging around with you and your team as well. Good to see the team enjoying their time here in Dubai as well.
Yes, man, the whole team, especially my mother, Wanda Davis, she's here alongside me, of course. My grandmother on my shorts that's watching me above. But my team, man, they did a phenomenal job moving me, how they moving me. And I just can't wait to be back in the ring.
Back in the ring, I mean, obviously, beginning of 2021. Obviously, we'll give you a little time to rest and recuperate. But what are the plans for the rest of the year?
The rest of the year, I'm fighting every other month, basically. Y'all gonna see me consistently about 7 to 8 times this year. And like I said, I just can't wait to get back in the ring and do it all over again.
Been absolutely brilliant having you here. He's 2 from 2. He's big in Dubai. Please put your hands together for Keyshawn Davis.
Oh, he looks the part.
Right, we are.
Talks
we will
it too.
take a short break to, of course, sanitize the ring. Ahead of the next big fight, still plenty to look forward to at this legacy event. We're live at the Caesars Blue Water, Dubai. More coming next.
More coming up, no doubt about it, but I tell you what, I don't mind spending some more time digesting, reflecting, analysing what we just saw from Keyshawn Davis, who's got skills to burn, talent aplenty. I'll tell you what, Barry Jones, you could put that smile on a cereal box as well. he's a kid that's going to sell in every way.
And even what he said in the interview there, I mean, the guy quitting his stool, that's something else I can say. Just that little bit of arrogance that you need to be a great fighter. And I think he seems to be ticking all the boxes, doesn't he? But the main thing, whatever he is, I know for a lot of things to be a big star is what you do outside the ring. But the most important thing always is what you do inside the ring. And in only his second fight, he looked so mature. He really did. He looked so mature. Didn't take any silly risks, but dismantling broke a guy down with just accurate, good boxing. His footwork was good. The adjustment of distance there was seeing, making a guy miss, making pay. That's what you're told from a young age. Using the solid jab, with everything worked behind that left hand. It was beautiful to watch at times.
absolutely looking the part. Keyshawn Davis, I'll have delighted. I think you saw his mum, Wanda, has been across for the trip as well. And he's saying that he's going to be something of a family legacy, not just himself. He's got an older brother, Kelvin, young pro, and Keon, younger brother who's an amateur, suggesting that all the brothers are going to go all the way. Keyshawn Davis, the name, of course, hails from Norfolk, Virginia, Pernell Whitaker country. Barry, I mean, you've joked before that you weren't necessarily the best fighter in your street, never mind in your city, and he's got one like that to vie for the history books. But that's a discussion for another day.
Huge shoes to fill there. And you can't even mention that to me. That's really unfair. He's got enough pressure already, being the next big US superstar. Let's see how he gets on. But he looks at you can understand why everyone's excited about him. Everything about him just screams future star. It really does. And where he goes, this boxing's a funny game. It's a hard game, and we'll see how he develops. But he's certainly one to keep a real keen eye on.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm with chat like that and talk like that, I'm always one who likes to step back and say, just gently put your foot on the brakes regarding that kind of hype. Let's get over to Dubai. Our man Spencer Fearon is down there.
Thank you, Alex. You know what, I was very, very impressed with the last fight that we just saw. I saw a young man in this Keyshawn Davis. I've seen him before on his professional debut, and he's really, really impressed me. He's impressed me for the simple things of what he puts together. He doesn't rush his work. For a young man, he's only 21 years old. Look how he puts his punches together. Reminds me in spurts of another way around of a Shakur Stevenson, who's a former WBO featherweight champion. So I can see similarities in him because they spar together, and he may look up to Stevenson. But if you look at the work rate that he puts together prior to the fight at the weigh-in yesterday, as we looked on his opponent, Ashley, he was really up for it. Very, very much so up for it. But if you look at the size of this young man, when he stands in the ring, for someone who's a lightweight, he doesn't look like a lightweight. He looks really, really big. And as you could see, prior to as soon as the bell went, it's like he took away his spirit. And then he starts to throw his combinations, which were excellent combinations. A really complete young man. I like how he can fight on the inside, how he puts his combinations together. This guy's got a very, very big future, and we have to props everybody who's come out today to witness. I believe that we've seen something special. I think I don't want to put too much pressure on a young man, but I think we're looking at a future star in him. Really, really good fighter.
Thanks very much, Spencer, our analyst, ringside enjoying what he saw. Hopefully everybody else has as well. And the hype is real, but so is the talent regarding Keyshawn Davis. No doubt about it. We look forward to the next step of the journey. Speaking of that journey, perhaps nearing the final chapter or so for Carl Frampton. Very, very different experience for Frampton tonight. I think whether that plays a part, it is something that you have to at least fold into the discussion, Barry Jones, that you and I have been ringside for some of Frampton's biggest nights in Belfast, biggest crowds, biggest atmospheres, and now away from that entirely, in what is almost like a tent attached to the resort here, Caesar's Palace. You know, there's going to be maybe 50 or so 100 people ringside tonight. It is a unique experience, and Frampton, all that amateur experience from way back when, might have to draw on that because he's had the crowd for him, and they have been plentiful. You and I know what those ringside experiences have been like in Belfast. This is a far cry from that tonight.
It is, and we've seen obviously a former prominent conqueror of Frampton in Josh Warrington. Not being able to adjust. You can't just blame that solely on his defeat, but he lost his recent fight. And I think a lot of it was to do because he's used to big crowds all the time, people cheering his name, and he draws off the energy. And Frampton has been drawing in big crowds for many years now, so he's only used to that. Whereas Jamel Helen, he's not used to boxing in front of empty arenas. He probably has less, well, he definitely has less support than Carl Frampton. Very few fighters have as much support as him, so he'll maybe adjust a little bit better. But it's still, It's still an interesting how they're going to react to it.
And you would have been forgiven for wondering how JAMEL Herring felt making his way back to the Middle East for the first time in a decade or so. The last time he was over here, he was a US Marine. He was fighting in Fallujah, Basra, those kind of areas. So much so difficult with those experiences that he did suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. He's had to deal with that. He's had to deal with several times, including losing a very, very young infant daughter a few years ago as well. But he's made of stern stuff, Herring, and he has rebuilt and rebounded from all of those tough life learning experiences. And here tonight he is fighting outside America for the first time in his life.
Of course, boxing's a tough sport, and you draw from your experiences, not just in boxing, for your life. That's why a lot of boxing is such an interesting sport, because the characters have had a hard life on the way up, of course, and that's what makes them tough inside the ring. And of course, this man has experienced pretty hard stuff.
I say boxing outside America for the first time as a pro. Of course, as an amateur, he did lead Team USA to the Olympic Games in London 2012. That seems so long ago now. At the age of 35, Frampton, having just turned 34 in February. Two guys towards the end, perhaps the very end of their careers. Big question is tonight, who still has most left, or which version of them is coming to the ring tonight? We can't wait to find out.